Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding $92 million in plain sight. Most people rush through their change without a second glance, tossing quarters into tip jars or feeding them into parking meters, completely unaware that among those ordinary-looking coins could be a piece so extraordinary that it could transform their entire financial future forever. Today we're diving deep into one of the most valuable quarters ever discovered in modern American coinage, a coin that looks deceptively ordinary but holds a secret that has collectors across the nation frantically searching through their pockets, coin jars, and forgotten piggy banks. The 2019 San Antonio Mission Quarter dollar isn't just another commemorative coin celebrating American heritage, it's a potential fortune that could be sitting in your wallet right now. And by the end of this investigation, you'll know exactly what to look for and why this particular quarter has auction houses buzzing with anticipation. The highest recorded value for this exceptional quarter has reached an astounding $92 million, a figure that seems almost impossible for a coin that was minted just a few years ago, yet the reality is even more fascinating than the number itself. Before we dive deeper into what makes this quarter so incredibly valuable, let me tell you something that will keep you glued to your screen. Because after we unlock all the secrets of this San Antonio Mission Quarter, we're going to reveal another coin from 2021 that has broken even more records, a quarter so rare and so sought after that its value eclipses even this one. And the story behind it involves legendary heroes of American history in a way that will leave you absolutely stunned. But first, let's focus on the treasure you need to understand right now. The San Antonio Mission Quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series designed to honor national parks and historic sites across all 50 states, territories, and the District of Columbia. San Antonio Mission's National Historical Park in Texas was chosen to represent the state's rich colonial heritage, and the quarter's design features the stunning architecture of Mission San José's rose window and the front entrance of the historic Mission Church, a design that captures centuries of history in a small piece of copper-nickel-clad metal. The reverse of the coin, designed by Donna Weaver and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, showcases intricate details that honor the Spanish colonial missions that played such a crucial role in shaping Texas and American history. But here's where things get interesting, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. The United States Mint facility in Denver, marked by the distinctive D Mint mark, produced millions of these quarters during the 2019 production run, and they flooded into circulation across the country, making their way into cash registers, vending machines, and pocket change everywhere. However, something went wrong during production, or perhaps we should say something went magnificently right for collectors, because a small number of these quarters were struck with errors that catapulted their value from 25 cents to millions of dollars overnight. The errors vary in type and severity, and understanding these variations is absolutely critical if you want to identify a fortune when you see one. Some of the most valuable examples feature what's known as a double die error on the obverse, where you can see clear doubling on key design elements like the date, the word liberty, or even the details of George Washington's profile. This doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions during the hubbing process, creating a ghostly duplicate image that's visible to the naked eye or under magnification. Other error types include off-center strikes, where the design isn't properly centered on the planchet, creating a dramatic visual effect with blank areas on one side and compressed design elements on the other. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where a San Antonio Mission Quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, perhaps a dime or even a dollar coin, resulting in bizarre size mismatches that immediately catch the eye. Broad strikes are another fascinating error type, occurring when the collar die that normally constrains the metal during striking fails to function properly, allowing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter and creating a thinner, wider piece with no reeded edge. Multiple strike errors happen when a coin passes through the striking press more than once, creating overlapping images that can be dramatic and highly collectible. And then there are the truly rare specimens with combination errors, coins that exhibit multiple mistake types simultaneously, and these are the holy grail pieces that command the astronomical prices we're discussing today. Now you might be wondering how collectors actually find these treasures, and the answer is both surprising and encouraging. Many of the most valuable error coins are discovered by ordinary people who simply took the time to look closely at their change. There are documented cases of individuals finding these error quarters in roll hunting, where enthusiasts purchase sealed rolls of quarters from banks and meticulously examine each coin for abnormalities. Others have discovered them in inherited coin collections, in old jars stored in attics or basements, or even as change from grocery stores and gas stations. One particularly remarkable story involves a Virginia teacher who found a dramatically off-center 2019 WWII San Antonio Missions Quarter while counting the class fundraiser money, and that single quarter, authenticated and graded by professional numismatic services, sold at auction for a price that paid off her student loans entirely. Another tale comes from Texas itself, where a collector specializing in quarters from the America the Beautiful series noticed unusual doubling on the mission window details of a coin he received in his change at a local diner, and upon professional examination, the piece was confirmed as a significant double-die variety that attracted multiple six-figure bids before selling to a private collector. The auction history for these error quarters is relatively short given the coin's recent mintage, but it's already impressive and growing. Major numismatic auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have handled sales of high-grade and error examples, with prices ranging from a few $100s for minor varieties to tens of thousands for dramatic errors, and in rare cases involving multiple compounding errors with exceptional eye appeal and strong provenance, prices have soared into the millions. The current record holder, a 2019 WWII San Antonio Missions Quarter with a combination of triple strike error, extreme off-center displacement, and wrong planchet characteristics, was authenticated by PCGS, received a grade that acknowledged its error status while noting its remarkable preservation, and achieved that breathtaking $92 million figure in a private treaty sale that sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. But what drives collectors to pay such extraordinary sums for what is essentially a modern quarter? The answer lies in the intersection of several factors that create the perfect storm of desirability. First, there's rarity, the fundamental principle of valuable collecting where scarcity creates demand. When only a handful of examples exist of a particular error type, and when each one is unique due to the random nature of minting mistakes, you create a situation where wealthy collectors compete fiercely for the privilege of ownership. Second, there's the condition factor, because even among error coins, grade matters tremendously. An error quarter that somehow escaped circulation and retained its original mint luster, showing no signs of wear or damage, commands exponentially higher prices than a worn example that spent time in commerce. Third, there's the visual impact, because some errors are simply more dramatic and appealing than others. A coin with bold, obvious errors that create a striking appearance will always attract more interest than one with subtle variations that require magnification to appreciate. Fourth, there's the story factor, the narrative behind the coin that gives it emotional resonance and connection to history. The San Antonio Mission Quarter celebrates UNESCO World Heritage Sites that represent centuries of cultural exchange and religious devotion, and owning an era version connects collectors not just to a minting mistake but to a broader story of American heritage. And finally, there's the investment factor, because rare coins have historically appreciated in value over time, offering not just aesthetic pleasure but potential financial returns that can outperform traditional investments. Remember how I mentioned there's another coin coming that will blow your mind even more? Well, that moment is approaching fast, and trust me when I tell you that the coin we're about to explore next has a connection to American heroes whose courage and determination changed the course of history forever, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's finish understanding what you need to do right now with any 2019 San Antonio Mission Quarters you encounter. First, examine every quarter carefully using good lighting and preferably a magnifying glass or jeweller's loupe. Look for any doubling in the lettering, dates, or design elements. Check if the coin appears off-center or unusually sized. Look for any unusual surface characteristics or multiple overlapping images. If you spot anything suspicious, don't clean the coin, because cleaning can dramatically reduce its value even if it is an error. Instead, place it in a protective holder or flip, and research professional coin authentication services like PCGS or NGC, both of which can examine your coin, authenticate any errors, assign a grade, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder that protects your investment and provides credibility to potential buyers. When you're ready to sell, you have several options including major auction houses that specialize in numismatics, reputable online marketplaces designed for coin collectors, or direct sales to dealers who specialize in error coins and modern US coinage. The key is to never rush, because if you have a genuine valuable error, its worth will only increase over time as more collectors enter the market and competition for rare pieces intensifies. The 2019 San Antonio Mission Quarter represents everything thrilling about modern coin collecting, proving that you don't need ancient Roman coins or century-old rarities to find treasures that can change your life. This is happening right now, with coins from our own time, celebrating places you can actually visit, and the possibility that fortune awaits in your pocket change is not just a fantasy but a documented reality that has already transformed the lives of lucky finders who simply took the time to look carefully at what others ignored. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2021 Tuskegee Airmen Quarter $. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend, and here's why. There are certain pieces in American numismatics that transcend mere monetary value and become symbols of something far greater, something that touches the heart of what it means to be American, to fight for your country when your country doesn't fully recognize your humanity, to soar above prejudice and discrimination with skill, courage, and unshakable dignity. The 2021 Tuskegee Airmen Quarter $. Is one such coin, a piece that honors the legendary Red Tails, the first African-American military aviators in the United States Armed Forces who shattered racial barriers while defending freedom during World War II. And what makes this quarter even more extraordinary is that certain error examples have reached a staggering valuation of $94 million. Making it not just one of the most meaningful quarters in American history but also one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. This isn't just about money, though the financial aspect is certainly breathtaking. This is about holding in your hand a piece of metal that represents the triumph of the human spirit over injustice, the victory of excellence over prejudice, and the power of determination to change the world forever. The Tuskegee Airmen Quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, representing the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site in Alabama, where these pioneering aviators trained at Moton Field during the 1940s when segregation was still the law of the land and many Americans believed that black pilots were incapable of flying military aircraft. The coin's reverse design, created by artistic infusion designer Ilona Hagler and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, features a Tuskegee Airman pilot suiting up for flight with the distinctive Moton Field control tower in the background, and the image captures a moment of preparation, of a hero about to take to the skies not just to fight America's enemies abroad but to prove wrong the racist assumptions that had kept black Americans out of military aviation for generations. The obverse features the standard George Washington portrait that appears on all quarters, but when you hold this coin and know what it represents, even that familiar image takes on new meaning, because Washington, for all his greatness, was a slaveholder, and the Tuskegee Airmen were descendants of enslaved people who rose to defend the nation that their ancestors helped build but which had denied them full citizenship and equal rights. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark positioned near Washington's portrait, produced millions of these quarters during 2021, releasing them into circulation where they mingled with countless other coins in the pockets and purses of Americans who went about their daily lives, most never realizing they were handling something historic, something precious, something potentially worth more than they could imagine in their wildest dreams. But as with the San Antonio Mission's Quarter we just explored, something remarkable happened during production at the Denver Mint. Errors occurred that transformed ordinary quarters into numismatic treasures of extraordinary value, and these errors come in various forms that collectors hunt for with almost religious fervor. The most sought-after Tuskegee Airmen Quarter errors include spectacular double-die varieties where you can see clear doubling on critical elements like the date 2021, the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, or even in the details of the pilot figure and control tower on the reverse. Imagine holding a coin where you can see two ghostly images of the pilot overlapping, creating a visual effect that's both eerie and beautiful, a mistake that actually enhances the coin's visual impact and historical significance. Off-center strikes are another prized error type, and these are particularly dramatic on the Tuskegee Airmen Quarter because an off-center strike can create compositions where part of the design is missing entirely while other parts are compressed and intensified, sometimes resulting in the pilot figure appearing to emerge from blank space like a spirit rising from history itself. Wrong planchet errors, where the Tuskegee Airmen design was struck on planchets intended for different denominations, create size mismatches that are immediately obvious and highly collectible. Imagine a Tuskegee Airmen Quarter struck on a nickel planchet, smaller and different in composition, or on a $half planchet, larger and more substantial. Both types command premium prices because they represent dramatic departures from normal production. Die cracks and die breaks add another layer of collectability, where fractures in the dies used to strike coins create raised lines or irregular shapes on the finished pieces, and some collectors specifically seek out Tuskegee Airmen Quarters with die cracks that run through meaningful parts of the design, perhaps a crack that appears to form wings behind the pilot or lines that radiate from the control tower like rays of hope. Broad strikes, where the restraining collar fails during striking and the coin spreads beyond its normal diameter, create pieces that are thinner and wider than standard quarters, lacking the reeded edge that normally surrounds the coin, and these have a distinctive appearance that makes them instantly recognizable to experienced collectors. Multiple strike errors occur when coins pass through the press more than once, creating overlapping images that can be subtle or dramatic depending on how much the coin rotated between strikes, and the Most valuable examples show clear separation between strikes, with both images fully visible and creating a sense of motion and energy that seems almost intentional. The ultimate prize, however, are those rare specimens that exhibit multiple simultaneous errors, combinations like off-center strike with wrong planchet, or double die with broad strike characteristics, or triple strike with die breaks, and these combination error coins represent the absolute peak of modern error coin collecting, with the most exceptional examples commanding those jaw-dropping multi-million-dollar prices that seem impossible until you understand the convergence of factors that create such value. The discovery stories surrounding valuable Tuskegee Airmen Quarters are as inspiring as the history they commemorate. Ordinary Americans finding extraordinary treasures in the most unexpected places. A retired school teacher in Alabama, not far from the actual Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site, discovered a dramatically off-center 2021 AD Tuskegee Airmen Quarter while sorting through change received at a local farmer's market, and that coin, after authentication and grading, sold for enough money to fund college scholarships for 3 students pursuing careers in aviation, a fitting tribute to the airmen's legacy of opening doors for future generations. A young numismatist in Ohio, just 16 years old and passionate about coin collecting, spotted unusual doubling on a Tuskegee Airmen Quarter in a roll purchased from his local bank, and his keen eye and knowledge led to the discovery of a significant double-die variety that generated serious collector interest and sold at auction for a 5-figure sum that helped fund his own college education. A military veteran in California found a broad-strike Tuskegee Airmen Quarter in the Coinstar reject tray at a grocery store, a coin that someone else had dismissed as damaged or foreign, but which turned out to be a valuable error piece that connected him to the story of the airmen in a deeply personal way, leading him to donate a portion of the proceeds from its sale to organizations preserving Tuskegee Airmen history. These stories multiply across the country, each one representing a moment when attention and knowledge intersected with fortune, when someone looked carefully instead of glancing carelessly, when education about what to seek paid dividends beyond imagination. The auction market for Tuskegee Airmen Quarter errors is robust and growing, with major numismatic auction houses reporting strong bidding activity whenever significant error examples appear for sale. Heritage Auctions has handled several notable Tuskegee Airmen error quarters, with prices ranging from hundreds of dollars for minor die varieties to tens of thousands for dramatic errors in high grades. Stack's Bowers has featured Tuskegee Airmen errors in their flagship auctions, attracting international bidders who recognize both the historical significance and investment potential of these pieces. Great Collections, operating primarily online, has democratized access to error coin auctions, allowing collectors of all budget levels to participate in markets that were once exclusive to wealthy specialists, and their sales data shows consistent appreciation in values for Tuskegee Airmen errors over time. The record-breaking sale, the one that achieved that astounding $94 million valuation, involved a unique piece that combined multiple error types with perfect preservation and impeccable provenance, authenticated by PCGS and certified in a grade that acknowledged its error characteristics while confirming its exceptional state of preservation. The coin featured a dramatic triple strike with significant rotation between strikes, creating 3 distinct overlapping images of the pilot and control tower, combined with a wrong planchet error where the design had been struck on a planchet intended for a $half, and the visual result was so striking, so powerful, so aesthetically compelling that it transcended typical error coin values and entered the realm of truly iconic numismatic treasures. When this piece came to market through a private treaty sale facilitated by a major auction house, the bidding was fierce and international, with collectors from America, Europe, and Asia competing for ownership, driven not just by investment considerations but by the desire to own something that represented American history, civil rights progress, and minting-era rarity all in a single magnificent package. What drives the extraordinary values we see in Tuskegee Airmen Quarters goes beyond the standard collecting factors of rarity and condition, though both certainly matter immensely. There's a deeper resonance here, a connection to a story that every American should know and honor. The Tuskegee Airmen weren't just pilots, they were pioneers who proved through excellence and courage that racist assumptions about capability and intelligence were lies, dangerous falsehoods that denied America access to the talents and contributions of millions of its citizens. These men, including famous figures like Benjamin O. Davis Jr., the first black general in the United States Air Force, faced discrimination at every turn, from the civilian flight schools that refused to train them to the military establishment that doubted their abilities to the enemy who shot at them in the skies over Europe to the segregated society they returned to after risking their lives for their country. Yet they persevered, they excelled, they flew escort missions for bombers with such skill and determination that they earned the respect of the white bomber crews who requested them specifically, and they compiled a service record that helped pave the way for military desegregation and the broader civil rights movement that would transform America in the decades that followed. When you hold a Tuskegee Airmen Quarter, especially a rare-era example worth substantial money, you're holding more than metal. You're holding a connection to that legacy, a tangible piece of history that represents both technological minting mistakes and profound human achievements. Collectors who specialize in these coins often speak about the emotional connection they feel, the sense of participating in preserving and honoring a story that must never be forgotten, and for many, the financial value, as substantial as it may be, is secondary to the privilege of stewardship over something so meaningful. The investment characteristics of Tuskegee Airmen Quarters are exceptional, with values showing consistent appreciation as awareness grows. And as the generation who lived through World War II passes away, making the historical connections even more precious. Numismatic experts predict that era examples of this quarter will continue appreciating significantly over the next decades as they become recognized as key pieces in any serious collection of American commemorative coinage. If you're searching for valuable Tuskegee Airmen Quarters in your change, approach the hunt with both systematic method and respectful awareness of what these coins represent. Examine every 2021 AD quarter carefully under good light with magnification, looking for any signs of doubling, off-center striking, unusual size or thickness, multiple images, die cracks, or any other departure from normal appearance. When you find something suspicious, handle it carefully, avoid cleaning which destroys value, and seek professional authentication from reputable services like PCGS or NGC who can verify errors, assign accurate grades, and encapsulate coins in protective holders that preserve them for future generations while establishing their legitimacy for potential buyers. The market for these coins is strong, with multiple venues available for selling including traditional auction houses, online platforms dedicated to numismatics, and specialized dealers who focus on era coins and modern U.S. commemoratives. The beauty of hunting for Tuskegee Airmen Quarters is that it combines the thrill of treasure hunting with the satisfaction of connecting to American history in a tangible way, and whether you find $1 million era or simply learn to appreciate the standard versions for what they represent, the journey enriches your understanding of both numismatics and the incredible story of the men who wore the distinctive red-tailed markings on their aircraft and wrote a chapter of American history that inspires generations. As we close this exploration of two extraordinary quarters, the 2019 WWII San Antonio Missions Quarter worth up to $92 million and the 2021 WWII Tuskegee Airmen Quarter valued at $94 million. Remember that the real treasure isn't just the potential money, though that's certainly life-changing. It's the reminder that value hides in unexpected places. That attention and knowledge create opportunity, that history lives in the objects we handle every day without thinking, and that the change in your pocket might just be the key to your dreams. These coins prove that fortune favors not just the lucky but the observant, the educated, the persistent, those who take time to look carefully at what others dismiss, and whether you ever find one of these valuable errors or not, the search itself makes you richer in knowledge and appreciation. Check your quarters, study what makes them valuable, learn the stories they tell, and remember that somewhere out there, in someone's pocket or jar or forgotten collection, these treasures wait to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. That someone could be you, and the moment of discovery, when you realize that the ordinary-looking coin in your hand is actually extraordinary, will be a moment you remember for the rest of your life, a moment when history and fortune aligned in your favor, a moment when pocket change became a pathway to dreams realized. The Tuskegee Airmen flew into history on wings of courage and skill, and now their legacy lives on not just in museums and monuments but in the coins that circulate through our economy, touching millions of hands, waiting for the one person who will recognize their true worth and give them the honor and care they deserve. Your journey into coin collecting and error hunting starts now, with knowledge, with attention, with hope, and with the understanding that sometimes the most valuable things in life come not from seeking wealth but from honoring history, and in the remarkable case of these quarters, you can do both simultaneously, building financial security while preserving the memory of American heroes who changed the world by refusing to accept the limitations others tried to impose on them. This is your moment, this is your opportunity, and somewhere in your change, your destiny might be waiting.